guys, we are back. Okay, I got my book right here. Here we go, I'm opening it up. Can't believe we're already almost at chapter 7. Okay. Then it's part 2. Find out where part 2 is for us. Oh, chapter 9 now. One sec, I'm looking for it. It's on chapter 12. Wow, there's a lot in this book. Chapter 13. Looking at. Okay, after chapter 13. Here we go. Somebody gave Tsunami an unhappy look. Why didn't anybody tell me, she asked, but no one answered her. All right, said Glory with a sigh. Her green eyes appeared again. Halfway across the cave, she was looking straight at Clay. Do what you want, as long as you're not doing it for me. I'll stay out of the way until Clay comes back to get us. Clay felt like the rosy pink color was rising up through his scales now. Glory trusted him. She believed he could do this. He could save her. He could save all of them. He just had to survive the river first. Chapter 7. I hate this, Tsunami called softly. I hate this a lot. She beat up her wings against the chains and that trapped her. I don't like it either, said Glory's voice. Shh. Starflight scolded from the riverbank. Clay stood in the shallows, shivering as the icy water washed over his talons. He wished he could take fire with him underwater. He wished he knew what he was getting into. He really, really wished he didn't have to go alone. But he had to do this. He glanced at the corner of the cave where Glory had disappeared. And are we sure this is the only way, Sunny asked, splashing the river with her tail. I bet I could think of some ideas with a little more time. We don't have any more time, Clay said. Follow the current, Starflight said to Clay. Don't leave the river. If it goes out into the world anywhere, the current shall take you there. If, Clay thought, stop and rest any time you find a place to breathe. Starflight went on, if you can't find a place where the river surfaces, don't panic or you'll run out of air faster. Clay felt like he was panicking already when he thought about swimming into inky blackness with no idea if he'd ever breathe again. His whole body tightened with fear. He felt the brush of wingtips next to his intern. The river eddied around the blurry outline of Glory beside him. Go hide, he whispered. Oh, by the way, if you know what this word means, if you know how to say this word, E-D-D-I-E-D, tell me. Thank you, Clay, she said quietly. I'll never admit I said this, but I want you to know I would never have made it through the last 6 years without the four of you. Same here, Clay said, growling up under the mountain. Without Glory, Sunny, Tsunami, and Starflight would have been too miserable to hear. Me too, Starflight said. Sunny nodded. She twinned her tail in Glory's and touched one of Clay's talons. Good luck, said Glory. She stepped out of the river and melted back into the shallows. Be really, really careful, Clay, Tsunami said. Her chains were taut around her legs and neck as she leaned toward them. Come back if you have to. Don't keep going if it's too dangerous. Don't you dare die, Sunny added, flinging her forearms around his neck and beating his wings with hers. You all stay safe too, Clay said. He took a deep breath, then another. I'll be rolling away that boulder before you know it. He couldn't delay any longer. He nodded to his friends and dove into the water. Swimming helped to warm him a little, but his scales still felt crusted with ice by the time he'd made it down the tunnel to the battle cave. He swam to the far wall where the rock sloped down into the water. He floated for a moment, feeling the current tugging him. Then he inhaled and dove down. By the flickering light of the torches above, he could see the patch of the wall that was darker than the rest. Tsunami was right. The hole was smaller than the gap to the Guardian's cave. Well, it was flatter but wider too. More like a snarling dragon mouth, complete with a sharp outcroppings like teeth. He couldn't see anything but darkness on the other side. Clay reached one forearm into the hole and felt nothing but emptiness. The dark water rushed past him. He arrowed to the surface and took the longest, deepest breath of his life, hoping it wouldn't be his last. The water closed over his head in an awful, final kind of way. He tried not to think about that. With a few swift kicks, he swam back into the hole and grabbed the rocks on either side to brace himself. He folded his wings tightly to his body and snaked his head through the hole. His shoulders followed, then his wings scraping painfully against the stone teeth. His front talons found a lip of rock ahead of him, and he seized it, pulling himself forward. Alright, next page. He felt his shoulders slip into open space just as his hunches got stuck. He felt his shoulder slap into open space just as his hunches got stuck. His back claws, scrambled for a grip. He tried to flatten himself to the rock, squishing himself sideways. He wriggled as hard as he could, remembering Starflight's instructions. Don't panic. Don't panic. Don't. He popped his head loose so suddenly that he spun forward, head over tail, and had to flail around his wings to straighten himself out. As he did, he felt the stone brushing his wingtips on either side. Cautiously, he reached out into the darkness. Rock pressed closely around him. The river was narrow here, and the current was strong. It carried him forward, even when he wasn't trying to swim. Everything was pitch dark. He tried paddling up to find the surface of the river, but his head barked painfully against the rock ceiling. There was no air here, only a tight channel filled by the river. He wasn't even sure there was space to turn around if he wanted to go back. But I don't want to go back. I can't go back. Clay forced himself to swim, kicking his back legs, and waving his wings as much as he could. In the cramped space, water gurgled in his ears as if it were laughing at his efforts. His heartbeat seemed louder than he'd ever noticed before. He didn't know how long he swam through the dark, twisting channel, but after a while, his chest began to hurt. Oh no. He had never actually tried holding his breath for an entire hour before. The Dragonets only knew he could because that's what it said about Mudwings in a couple of scrolls. Let's see how much pages we have left till next chapter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can't finish. I don't think so. Alright, what if it took practice? What if only full-grown Mudwings could do it? What if his lungs were still too small? What if he drowned down here alone and his friends never knew what happened to him? And Kestrel killed Glory. And he really was the most useless Dragonet in Pura. I will not panic. Clay climbed toward the surface for the 100th time, setting his jaw stubbornly, still on solid rock above him. But it seemed like the rock was slanting upward. Was it? He reached his wings up to brush against the stone and swam faster. The channel was definitely getting wider. He couldn't feel the walls on either side of him anymore. Suddenly, the rock above him disappeared as well. The strength of the current dropped away. It felt as if he'd swum into a wide open pool. Clay bet his wings beat his wings, rising up and up through the dark water. His tail was lashing to drive him forward. He was deeper than he'd realized, far below the surface. But were those stars above him? He nearly sucked in a mouthful of water in excitement. Could he have made it outside already? Something was shining overhead. He could see small spots of light, like the night sky, through the hole. His head burst out of the water. Clay yelped with glee as he breathed in and out, graceful for the air like he had never been before. His voice echoed back to him, bouncing off cave walls. This air didn't smell like the sky, and he couldn't hear it. Okay, we're going to stop right there. See you later. Hope you guys have a nice rest of your day. See you later. Bye.